Freight guard reports. They can be so damaging to a carrier and it can actually put you out of business. So in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to remove freight guard reports from your profile. We're gonna break this video down into 5 parts. Number 1, we're gonna talk about the damages that it can do to you as a carrier. Number 2, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my personal story, the freight guard report that I got and what I was able to do to remove it. Number 3, I'm gonna explain to you guys a little bit about why freight guard reports should not be taken so seriously. Number 4, I'm gonna give you the step-by-step guide written by a lawyer on how to remove freight guard reports. And number 5, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what I'm working on myself to try to make our industry a little bit less dependent on freight guard reports and a little bit more dependent on actual stats of carriers. So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is damages to a carrier. So as you all know, I mean, a lot of the carriers, they're on the load boards, they're looking for loads. Now, a lot of the times, the big brokerages, they will not work with a carrier that has a freight guard report or a freight guard report within the first 30 or 60 days. This could be extremely damaging to a carrier, not only a new carrier, but even us ourselves like ET Transport. Even though we're running over 100 power units, but still if there's a freight guard report, then a lot of the big brokerages will not want to work with us. And that is, can you imagine 100 trucks, 2 outbound loads, 2 inbound loads, so each truck does 4 loads, right? Multiply that by 100 trucks, that's 400 loads a week that we're doing, and one freight guard report can literally, put you in the red, which is really not fair to the carriers, and it's not fair that these brokers have this leverage on carriers. The second thing we'll talk about is my personal story of how I got a freight guard report. So we were doing a load from, I remember this very clearly, it was literally like a couple of months ago, we were doing a load from Texas and it went all the way to New Brunswick. Okay, so that's about a 6-day transit. Now on day number 4, the driver arrives to here in the GTA where we have our yard in Concord, and then the US highway driver drops the trailer off in our yard. And then what happened was the Canada driver over the weekend, it was a Saturday for delivery Monday out in New Brunswick, the driver that hooked onto the trailer on the Saturday found a major defect on that trailer and basically reported it to safety. So safety had 2 options. Option number 1 is you're either late for your delivery, so you cannot deliver it on Monday, or you offload the product and you load the product into another trailer and have it delivered on Monday. The weekend safety manager calls the dispatcher makes the call. No, it's a very important delivery. It's only, I don't know how many skids it was, but it's only X amount of skids. Offload the product and then load it into another trailer. I don't want to deal with, not having it delivered on time. Did he make the right call? I don't know, because it's a lose-lose situation, and in both scenarios, I believe that this broker would have put on a freight guard report. So come Monday morning, the trailer arrives at the delivery, the driver opens up the trailer, the receiver sees that the trailer is not the same trailer number as it was loaded in Texas, closes the doors and says, no, I'm not accepting this trailer. We call the broker. Now the broker was notified on the weekend that this and this happened. There was a major defect on the trailer. The product had to be offloaded. Basically, we just send an email to the broker letting them know what's happening. On Monday, we come to the office. All of a sudden, the dispatcher says, listen, it wasn't my call. It was the after-hour dispatch. But long story short, it doesn't matter what we would have done on the weekend. Either we would have gotten a freight guard report for not delivering that on time, or we would have gotten a freight guard report, which we did, about the trailer, offloading the product into another product. So we thought we were doing good, and it turned out that we basically did bad. But right away, the next day when we came in, it took about 3 or 4 days for that freight guard report to go up, and right away on a Wednesday or Thursday, I remember 4 different dispatchers coming up to me and telling me that, hey, Ronen, these brokers won't work with us. And for me, it was like, are you kidding me? This leads me into my third point of this video, is why the freight guard reports should not be taken so seriously. And the reason for that is, here, look at ET Transport, for example. A freight guard report, when you get 1 a year, or when you get 2 a year, or even 3 a year, think about it. 100 power units, every single truck here does 4 loads a week. So that's 2 outbound loads, 2 inbound loads. All right. Now, when you think of 2 outbound, 2 inbound, multiply that by 100 power units, that's 400 loads a week. Multiply that by 52 weeks. That's, let's just say, 20,000 loads a year. You're telling me that I am not allowed to get 1 freight guard report on me on 20,000. Think about how absurd this is, okay? 20,000 shipments a year. I mean, here's my freight guard report. I mean, I haven't had one in about a year or 2 years, but you can see the stats over here. Here they are. I mean, you're telling me that I cannot have one freight guard report, 20,000 shipments, I get one bad review, and all of a sudden 6 or 7 large brokerages won't work with me? I mean, are you kidding me? This is what we carriers have to deal with on a regular basis. So the $1,000,000 question is, how do you remove a freight guard report? So in that particular case, I was able to remove the report. What I did is I consulted with a lawyer, and I talked to, a transportation lawyer, and I explained to him how absurd this is, that somebody can leave a freight guard report, and how damaging this is. So what this lawyer did was basically he constructed a template for me and my audience. All right, and that basically is a template that you're going to send, and I have it in the link below. You're going to send to the person that posted that freight guard report, and basically it outlines the amount of damages that broker is causing you, and the amount of damages that the broker on the other side, or the brokerage firm on the other side, is doing, and they should remove the freight guard report because of how damaging it is and the loss of business that it is causing. These letters are basically a do-it-yourself letter, and they're PDF files basically that you could do it yourself. Now, if you see that you need the help of, so with these documents comes the contact information of that lawyer that put this letter together. So really, it's a PDF file that you could do it yourself, you can send it yourself, and if the brokerage firm really doesn't want to remove it, that lawyer can get involved if you choose to get that lawyer involved to remove that freight guard report, because it's extremely damaging. Okay, so that's really what I was able to do. I was able to, I've used these templates myself. I have removed some freight guard reports myself from this template. There has been 1 or 2 occasions where I had to retain this lawyer to remove the freight guard report, but it's, it's money well spent, and people just don't understand, or brokers just don't understand how damaging these freight guard reports are. In a lot of cases, and I do agree with the brokers that there are some horrible carriers out there, and I get it, and there are a lot of brokers that do, shady stuff, and there's a lot of brokers out there, or a lot of carriers out there that double broker, and there's a lot of carriers there that, take multiple shipments. I heard everything, and I hear that, and I really truly believe that we need to do something about this. Now, the last point of this video that I'm going to bring up is what I am doing personally myself. So one of the things that I've done is I've asked my friends over at Load Connect to develop something that's going to really make us less dependent on these freight guard reports and this service that other people provide. And one of the things that we're developing right now is that on your load board, for brokers out there, on your load board, you're going to have a snapshot of every single carrier out there, with their safety scores, and really I've helped them develop a carrier profile that will be on top of your load board. So whether you're using LoadLink, DAT, or if you're using truckstop.com, this profile when you're selling loads is going to be on every single one of those load boards. So hopefully learn something from this video. Use these PDFs in order to remove freight guard reports. It doesn't matter how far back they are, you can still use them and you can get them removed. And of course, this was all written by a transportation lawyer, so it is an expert within our industry, and hopefully helps all you guys out there in order to remove these freight guard reports. Hopefully you learned something from this video. I'm Ronen, and I'll catch you in my next one.